Now here's another experimental project. This is like 4 30-pound propane tanks that are in here, filled with half water, half 60 Fahrenheit antifreeze, and this does a whole sprinkler system. There's a little valve. I put air in it through a nipple right here, compress the whole thing with my compressor to get the pressure in at 140 psi. And because these buildings aren't heated, I did an experiment, and there's another film on this, just using a little 20-pounder, and I built a big fire, and it knocked it down really well. So this is 3 30-pounders. So anyways, those are used propane tanks. The whole system wasn't really overly that expensive, and had all 3 of our Cuca resort buildings protected. Okay, this is a prototype sprinkler system, and this is an experiment to see with this pile of garbage. Normally I don't burn plastic and stuff, but I want to have it be a good experiment to show all different combustibles in there. What we're trying to do is design a system that you can put into a house that doesn't cost that much money. I couldn't find anything on the internet, on YouTube's or anything, any info, so this is a total experimental system. And if you put a sprinkler into your house, or your garage or your business, normally like 98% of the time they will put the fire out. The advantage of a sprinkler system is, you can get insurance, but now insurance is getting to be a racket. All they do is ever increasing rates. And now they make smart smoke detectors that can go right to your smartphone, alert you immediately. You can call 911 and, get the fire department coming to the rescue. But this system is with smart alarms in our business here. This is a resort HA Funland. We want to have it so that the smart alarm goes off immediately, it alarms. And this is just simple used propane tanks. The whole system isn't that expensive. These little heads are from eBay that I got very inexpensive. I got them by the box. And so this can hold approximately 7 gallons. We have 3 gallons of water in it. We have it pressurized with that compressor over there to 140 psi. Now we're going to light this pile, and we're going to just see what this baby can do. Assistant, which is my wife, light her up. Just so everyone knows that my wife is not a pyro. This is just an experiment. Now, let's step back. Of course, we're outside, so right now it's only about 15 degrees. I think the flame's shooting past it.
I can get a brake and push it over.
Low right from Young. And down goes Mark Young. A green.
So right now this is just one 30 pounder, and our smallest setup has 4 times that capacity, and our bigger one is like a monster amount of those tanks.
And that would just be coming out the one sprinkler head. As long as it just kicks one. If it kicks 2, then that would be 2. Here you go.
So what we're going to do is
Take this.
we're going to test. What we did is we tested these heads in boiling water, and it was pretty consistent. They opened up when they were supposed to open up. So we're going to do more tests on that to see.
Yeah, this.
We were thinking that because the wind is blowing out there, that it wasn't trapping the heat up at the top like a room would. And this one here was down there that you saw with the fire, it wasn't popping. So what we're going to do is, this is a 155 Fahrenheit one. They do make 135 Fahrenheits, even will pop even at a lower temperature. But on eBay, the only thing I could find was boxes of 155 Fahrenheit at a really great price, and that's what I could afford. You can buy the 135s for like $15 or $13 or $14 each or whatever. I'm getting a whole box of these of 100 for like I think it was like $225 or something. So it was extremely good bargain, and that's what we could afford. So this is 155, and
There should be 155.
right
It
there.
just went. Yeah.
Put it back in there, see what's that. No, it was like 164 or
Yeah.
something.
Well, that's when I was all the way. Yeah.
Okay, now we're just filling these propane tanks up. And we just have a little funnel, and then we're going half-half. And we're using the 60, not the minus 60, which is the blue. We bought the minus 100, 50-gallon barrel, 55-gallon barrel, and they lied, and I didn't have a chance to check the barrel for like 5 months later, and it wasn't the color that it was supposed to be. So anyway,
green.
somebody pulled the fast one on us. So if you're gonna ever buy a barrel of antifreeze, open the lid up. The green is 60. The
No, the green is minus 100.
green is minus 100.
The blue's minus
Minus
60.
and the pink is,
Minus 30?
I think, minus 30. So this is the blue. And these we're filling up, and they're going to go up here on this little assembly. And you see here when I zoom up, let's see right there. You see there that there's a single tank goes there, 2 tanks go there. This actually worked out good. We only had certain size pipes, and this makes it easier to flip up. With 2 of these tanks, like a little over half filled, not easy to flip. We had 2 30-pounders and 2 20-pounders, and we had to flip up in place. My knee's still sore, and Jodi's still sore from, we had everything at our age to yank that sucker up and get it upside down. So now I'm going to walk over the other building and show you what I'm talking about. See, these tanks are upside down. That's very important that the tanks are upside down, because the air bubble gets up to the top of them, and therefore, the way I see it, then it's going to shove all the fluid out. When we did our little test experiment, we had the tank upside down. There was only a few drops left with the 140 psi when it shoved it out, so it really worked good. And so that whole assembly was designed so that we threaded them on, and then we had to lift it up and over, and it's leaning, and it's held really good so it doesn't come loose and you know, hurt somebody. But that was hard. That was hard for us to go 2 30-pounders and 2 20-pounders and lift that upside down like that. Oh, and actually we couldn't get it. We got the 2 center ones in, and we couldn't get the 2 outer 30-pounders. So what we had to do is, of course, these are all flipped downwards. We had to nip in there, put a little valve, and then fill that tank with a little funnel right there. So we filled that outer tank, and then we went over here. We had to nip into that line right there. You see the little valve stem with the valve there. Of course, that whole assembly was flipped down. That tank was empty. We filled it right from there, and then that was okay. Oh, that was because I couldn't thread it on there when it was full. We still had to flip all 4 of them up, but what happened is I couldn't hold the weight of that on that little lip. I only had about 5 inches, and I was standing there trying to thread that in. And after about 20 minutes, I gave up, and that's why we had to have that flip down and then put that valve in and fill it, so that was the only way that we could get it. But man, when we flipped those babies up, it was hard. And then we have this bell, which was from the scrap metal place. This is our rental. The rental, it's the French cottage. I can kind of show you. This is a French cottage, and it, out the window there, we have an Eiffel Tower that's 62 feet tall that we made out of ash wood. And so this is this is the bedrooms there. This is the bathroom. Here's a turtle. Underneath the turtle is a Korean Undul, American version that we have a film. The smoke channels go underneath this pad, and then they pop up there. So that whole floor gets hot. So this is all, as usual, a lot of experimental stuff. So anyways, sayonara! That's like right there is half of what goes in there. That's the water. We use rainwater, because we collect rainwater. We have a well too, but I didn't want any excess minerals or anything in this thing. So we're just putting it in there, and that quantity was half of a propane tank that's a 20-pounder is 4.6 gallons. So 2.3 gallons is half of it. But then the air, you have all these lines, and those are airspace that can be pressurized. So they're not just filled halfway, they're more than halfway filled. So the total amount of ounces that are in here would be roughly...
Originally we were going to go 171 ounces of antifreeze and 171 of water, but we added...
Say another, so it's around 190
to 200 ounces.
Yeah, 190 to 200 fluid ounces.
Of each. Antifreeze and water.
Yeah. See this handle here? I have to cut this handle off right here, because it won't, when we try to spin it up on these things up here, they have to spin on those, and it's not clearing. So I have to cut these, so we'll cut this little part off. And the beautiful part about having a high pressure system like this is when that baby kicks on, as you could see from the experiment, that thing was like massive. It was like an explosion of water. It was just like boom, and it knocked that fire right out. And so compared to a regular sprinkler system, that they don't have that kind of pressure. So what you're doing is with this, you're knocking it down so much better with this high pressure at 140 psi at the beginning of it, and it just starts ramming that water down on it and raining it down. I mean, just amazing. But the other thing is, these buildings aren't heated in the winter, and we're in upstate, New York, which is can get to be like Alaska up here anymore. You get cold spells that are below zero. So we don't put heat in these buildings. That's why it's half antifreeze, half water. These could have been just filled with water if your building has heat in it. And this whole system can be tied in with some one-way valves, check valves, to your, if you're just using water, to your well. So in other words, you can use this as more likely once you knock it down with this high pressure, then you probably, your well backing it up where it keeps hitting that sprinkler and keeps dropping even more water, it's great. But what we're kind of figuring is because we have antifreeze in these, I'm not putting check valves in it because I don't want any risk of it bleeding back into the water source for the people that, the guests that come up here to our fun land, that ghost fun land that we have. It's a fun park.
Cuca Lake Ghost Fun Park.
It's a Cuca Lake Ghost Fun Park.
Reynolds.
It used to be just HA Funland, but there's lots of things in here. I mean, it's like this marble run right here is the biggest marble run in Northeast United States. So, and we have anti-gravity rooms, and we have Ames room where you can walk across the room and your height will change by about 2 foot when you walk 16 feet. It's all optical illusion. And this is the biggest marble run in Northeast United States. And we have rentals here. This is like 4 rentals here. This is, now it's still a shop because we're still doing it, but there's a masonry stove, Russian masonry stove built onto a regular stove, and some, Jodi did some sculpturing with soil and clay in Portland. And anyways. There's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 20-pounders. There's 1 40-pounder right here. And that big boy was, I think, an 80? 80 pounder. The amount of fluid in here, which includes antifreeze and water, is 29 gallons. So we have 29 gallons of knockdown power to knock down a fire. Okay. Now, like I say, if this building was connected, if this building had heat in it all year, but we're in upstate New York, like I say, it gets like Alaska in the winter, then I want to have antifreeze in here, and I could have connected it to our well with a check valve so that once these deplete, the check valve finally releases in and then the well would back it up. But I have half antifreeze and half water, so I'm not going to take that risk with the check valve. Now this thing here is really handy because when you're filling this big 40-pounder, we had to have this flipped down here, and we filled it. We didn't fill that tank and try to screw it onto that thing. It would have been way too hard. We screwed it on there empty. It was flipped down, and then to put fluid in it, we use this and put this valve open, put a funnel right here, and pour it in there. But now you have to have the air so it can go somewhere, because it'll just get in the tank and then you'll be trying to pour stuff in here and it'll keep spitting back up as air bubbles come back up from the tank. So you have to have it so you open the valve later on so that air can be released, so it doesn't come making your job hard as bubbles air come up and it keeps spitting your stuff out. And we have straps on these, and then we duct tape this in case, because this is a HA Funland, which is a ghost fun park now with rentals, and in case nobody's supposed to be up here, but in case some kid gets up here, if he would open this valve up, this whole thing would it would empty. And I mean, it empties fast. As you can see when we did the experiment outside, it's like amazing, it's like an explosion of fluid. It just, you know. All right. Okay, right here I'm at this big tank. It's 80. The 80, of course, we filled in place and welded a 3/4 inch. Nope, it went off again. You have to be.
Okay, go ahead.
So there's a 3/4 inch pipe coming out of there welded. And then we ended up filling it from the top here. There's the setup. There's the little gauge, galvanized T, another galvanized T with the fill spot, come out valve, and then where we get the air compressor on. That's where we come in and pressurize the whole system. This tank feeds into all these other tanks. When it's all pressurized, then you shut this valve, disconnect the air compressor. You know, you shut this valve, then disconnect the air compressor, and that's how you charge the system. Some of you are out there in TV land or whatever are going to say, why didn't you just put bigger ones, you know, like this? Well, I got these from a scrap metal place, and these are just what I could get. I mean, it would have been nice if I could have ended up with even a bigger one than this and just had one tank. But, you know, I couldn't find that, so I went with what I could afford and what I could find. These tanks were just for scrap metal prices, so it was a really good deal. The whole system for all these buildings isn't that expensive. Okay, we're up here at these tanks. And you can see this whole assembly here. And they're divided into so that you can lift 2 tanks up, flip them upside down at a time, because once these get fluid in them, these are 30 pounders. With 2 of them, they're pretty heavy. If there was trying to lift all 4 of these at once, it would be really, really hard. I'm good. See how we have double straps on there? There's enough weight and momentum on there. You have to make sure your setup isn't going to swing down like a guillotine or clunk somebody in the head, you know. Unless it's somebody that you want to clunk in the head, then you might want to consider having them stand underneath it. We put air into the system in that little nipple, and we had that valve open, and now we just went through and looked at these, and we found some leaks, so we lost some pressure, but it's getting late enough in the day. So you definitely want to put a grind in your little handle there to catch it and have a wire and pull it tight right there. You do not want that to open accidentally. You could end up draining all of your tanks. And what we discovered was with these tanks, we probably should have just went and did the whole system with air tested it first, but we ended up skipping the move because our contracting is waiting, so we put fluid in, and the way we found leaks is we just look for the little blue water drops, and that's how you spot where there's a leak, which was kind of nice because it drips down to the floor. Now this right here, you definitely want to have that right there where that PEX fitting meets the sprinkler head. I locked that in the vise and I tightened those in, and thank God I did that, because on the first building I didn't, and I found 3 loose ones and they were dripping. So you want to definitely make sure that that's snug right up there, or because you put so many heads in, you got to figure if you got to go back and hit all them, holy crap. Then you notice right there that little valve for filling with fluid, put a strap on it, put a little grinder into that so that it has a little slot to hold that tie, and make sure you lock those down, because man, if anybody pops those open, there goes all of your fluids in your tanks. I mean, it happens fast because this thing's like an explosion when it goes off. This is where you're going to have leaks, especially right here where this brass meets this boiler pipe galvanized. That's where we found the bulk of our leaks. And wrap the Teflon tape 4 times around there so it's good. That's really important. And then make sure you have that tight. And when you put these assembly together, you got to absolutely make sure that you've tightened the shit out of this right here, because you can't get to that right now. I mean, it'd be hell to twist this whole tank that has fluid in it. So luckily we had everything really tight along there, because I thought about that before. Now, of course, this going down this way, you can always tighten the whole propane tank on there. And what I did is cut little slot. There's little grooves in it, and then I used a little square bar and I twisted it. I only found 1 leak in all the tanks, and I twisted that, because you can't grab this with your hand and twist this unless you're like Hercules, you know, and I'm not anymore. I'm 65 years old. I left the better part of me in the past. So, all right, and make sure you have enough straps on this too, because man, these tanks, when they have all the water in them, they're heavy enough, I'll tell you. We're just putting some heat, see when we let these babies pop. They're right exactly what it said, 155. Now the other unit,
The half-inch.
half-inch one, is still not popping yet. Now, I don't know.
Turn it this way.
That's amazing.
That is. Made me jump.
Anyways, with these sprinkler heads, you have to let it go like overnight, and then look for little blue water drops. Anywhere you have a leak, you're going to see, because it's the blue antifreeze. And just look for little blue dots, and it might have to go all night to finally form enough of a liquid there that you could spot it. So you have to go for like 2 or 3 days and keep looking, and then tighten anything up, and that'll solve your dilemma. And there's one of the most important tools you can have on the job. That Ryobi for your pecs. That clamps it right down, and the price on this is very reasonable. I'll just hit the button so you can see it. Nope. I don't know if you can see that. It clamps down. Anyways, because of that tool, that saved us so darn much work. that it's indispensable. And we had no leaks on any of our PEX connections, and we had so many connections because we have, you know, 3 big buildings here that we did all of the sprinkler heads and all of the plumbing connections. So it was an amazing amount of connections. So that Ryobi, and there's a little adjustment on there to make sure that you're clamping down right. When you get the tool underneath the battery, I believe it is, there's a little thing in there, and you might have to adjust this to make sure you're pinching down. You're pinching down really well, because if you're not pinching down well, and imagine if you have to go back and do 1,000 of these pinches here, you know, over again, because you're getting leaks or something. I mean, so very important. Anyways, I wish you the best of luck with your system, so you can protect your family, your pets, your heirlooms, your photographs of that you can never replace, and all the things that people give you that they're handmade. I mean, there's so many things you could lose, and so you really having an inexpensive system that you put in yourself like this could be a real life, literally be a lifesaver and save somebody's life or a whole family's life. And what I like about this system is that it's much better than a normal sprinkler system, because when it hits it, it knocks down with the pressure that they don't even use. It's coming out at almost 140 psi at first. So it really atomizes it, and it just strikes into that fire and puts it out. At the same time, make sure you get smart smoke detector and co-detectors. They're not that expensive. They're, you know, I think for all these buildings it'd be $600, and they connect right to your Wi-Fi, and if you have an issue, it can wake you up or alert you at any time that you have your smartphone with you, and then you could dial 911. And also, you know, we live here, so we have those on top of it all. Where am I? See those big canisters? They're not that expensive either. Bought a bunch of those so that has knockdown power. And then see that pump? Yeah, let's see what that Honda pump right there. That's designed with the big tanks outside, or thousands of gallons out there. And there's a firefighting hose there. And that throws, I think, like 160 gallons a minute out. So that's my ultimate firefighting for all 3 of these buildings. And I got one of those units up at the house too. And so, but the way I see it is, if anything happened, the sprinklers go off, we get alerted with our smartphone, come down, Jodi grabs these red canisters and starts knocking it down with a bunch of those. And then I fire up the big boy right there. Of course, we dial 911 first, and then that's our plan. So I wish everyone the best of luck, and take care and have a great life. Bye.